Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
Man, let's talk about this story, man. This story of you and your return starts in Brazil, and now you're heading back to Brazil. So let's start with the first trip to Brazil to Sao Paulo, right, for the fight night against Ismael Bonfim. Man, that whole week, could you just break it down a little bit of like what you went through and the decision you made? Because it was like most guys, it's a tough decision for them because a lot of them, they don't make that much money, and sometimes they just take the fight because they need the check.
Yeah, and honestly, and I'm not one of those guys, so that's why I was able to say no. But if I'm honest, I'll tell you the story, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of rough because I'm still kind of in a little fragile place with it. But so we go out there for the fight, which Brazil's fucking amazing, right? I love Brazil. I had a good time out there. The food's amazing. People are amazing, right? I was ready to go out there and whoop this fucking dude's ass in front of his fucking hometown. And I find out at like 9:10 or 9:15 that he wasn't going to make weight. And so we can make weight between 9 and 11, right? And then if we need more time, we have to weigh in, see a doctor, and we get another hour. So I find out like 9:15, 9:20, he's not going to make weight. At that time, I think I was at like 158. I think it was like 58 or something like that. I was close to what his weight was, right? I wasn't too far. I was like a pound or two off. So I'm like, what the fuck? How is he not going to make weight at 9 o'clock? Like, he's still got 2 more hours. Like, that fucking shitbag better go make weight. Like, you know what I mean? He better go try to make weight. And so they're like, oh, no, he's done. He's not cutting weight. He already weighed in. And I'm like, the fuck? So I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, then we just take a catch weight, right? So I'm ready to go just drink water and fuck it. I'm going to make my weight with his, and we're going to take a catch weight. I'm there with Alex Hernandez, my coach G. Coach Mark is flying in. He's not quite there. I think he was at the airport or driving in at the time. And then Jason was there. Jason wasn't physically there, but he was on the phone with Alex. So Jason's talking to Alex on the phone, talking to Coach. They're like, fuck that. You're making weight. We're not going to, pull some bullshit like this little fucking turd did. You're going to make weight. So make weight, and then we'll either take his money and we'll just take his money. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm getting closer to making the weight. I think I'm only like, feels like a pound and a half away when I weighed in, right? I was at 57. I think I was 57 and a half.
Yeah.
And I weighed in. I got that extra hour, and I cut the rest of the weight. I weighed in. As I'm cutting weight the second time after I weighed in to have that extra hour, Jason House, my manager, is talking to my coach, who's talking to Alex, who's talking to me, and we're all just kind of like having a little back and forth over the phone, playing telephone. Jason says, I don't like this. Who Jason manages Bonfim too. Mm-hmm. So Jason's like, I don't like this. Kind of sus, yada yada. I'm like, yeah, this fucking sus, because when I went to a weigh-in, him and his little fucking shithead friends were sitting at the fucking door laughing, snickering, eating like he's doing it on purpose. I'm like, so this is in my head now. I'm like, first of all, I don't trust fucking USADA testing Brazilians because they're in a third world country, and without talking too much shit, let's just say it's a third world country and leave it at that. I know most likely for sure he's using IV bags. He's in his hometown, right? And then he's also trying to cheat now, in my eyes, by not making weight, right? Like, a pound or two is acceptable, right? Like, that's understandable. You tried. But this motherfucker missed weight by 5 pounds. Like, that's, you blatantly are trying not to make weight, right? Like, that's on purpose to me. You fucked up. And so we're talking about it. Jason's like, yeah, man, I don't like this, yada yada. I'm like, yeah, I don't like this either because this, and this. And things feel fucking rough right now, right? Like, I don't like this. Jason's like, well, listen, these are your options. We can't do catch weight. You made weight, so we'll take 30% of his money. I'm like, okay, how much money does he make? He's on a contender series contract, so it's like 12 and 12 or 10 and 10, whatever the fuck it is. And so I'm like, okay, I calculated out $3,600 was what I would have got, $3,400, which wouldn't even have covered flying my coaches out there and paying for the hotel room. I would have that maybe would have covered half of it, right? So I'm like, yeah, that's not really enticing me here, but I mean, I kind of have to take the fight, I guess, right? Because I need money. And so my manager Jason was like, no, the other option is you make weight, which you already did, and we just walk away and you take your show money. So me personally, I'm like, I know Dana gets mad at that shit, and like, you know what I mean? even though like the guy who doesn't make weight is a fucking piece of shit, for some reason, Dana tries to fucking pick on the guy who doesn't accept the fight, right? Like it's his fucking fault. So I was kind of expecting some heat from that, whatever, but I wasn't like expecting what I had to deal with. So anyway, that happens. We say, okay, fuck that. We're not taking the fight. I go up to Bonfim. I'm like, fuck you. You fucked up. You're not fighting that, you piece of shit. So go fuck yourself. So we do that. We walk away. You know what I mean? I leave. I didn't get paid for, I don't know how, it was like a week or two. And yeah, I didn't get paid for a week or two. And then eventually I get money. They gave me a little bit of money and they took my expenses out of the money. So I got even less. And that money was barely enough to get me by to right now, right? Like, if I didn't have this fight with Bonfim May 4th, I was going to go get a job because I can't pay my bills. And that's not the UFC's fault, and that's not Jason's fault. That's kind of just, you know, my bad luck in the last couple of years, because after I fought Madsen, I injured my hip training for my next fight, and I had to get surgery, so I was out. And then I was supposed to fight, whatever that fucking French dude's name, I don't remember his stupid ass name now. I was supposed to fight him, and I had to pull out of that fight because I injured myself. I re-injured myself, trying to come back too early. And then I got the fight with Bonfim, so I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm healthy, let's do this. And then this all happens, right? So, like, I don't know. I'll say this: had Jason and my manager not tell me like take your show money and walk away, I would have took the fight. I would have took the fight, took his 30% and whooped his fucking ass in front of his people, because that's what I needed to do. Like I was hurting for money, which I'm still hurting for money right now, right? And so that was my decision, but that's what I was going to make. But I was told, let's do this. So anyway, I got convinced. I made the decision, which I'm going to be honest here again. If I wasn't in a situation where I needed money, I would have told him fuck off anyway. Yeah. I'd have been like, fuck you, and not accepted the fight. So, like, not to say that they made me do something I wouldn't have fucking done, because I would have made that choice had I not been in the money crunch I was in, you know what I mean? But I was in that money crunch, so I would have accepted that fight, right? I wanted to take the fight because I needed the money. And so I don't get paid. I'm pissed at Jason. I'm like, what the fuck? The thing that really bothered me was no one really accepted the responsibility, which I'm talking about Jason, of, you know what I mean? Sorry, that's my bad. I fucked up. I told you something that wasn't true, and you know, you're out of money. But I didn't even get like a sorry or nothing, right? Like that's the part that made me mad. And so I've had a little falling out with my manager, and we're kind of working things out right now, and things like we're still talking and things are cool. But like I was like very bad about it, like to the point where I was like, you get me a fucking fight in this time frame or you're fired, kind of thing. So anyway, I got this fight with Bonfim. I told Jason, I was like, hey, I need a fight. Actually, when we were out there in Brazil, I was like, bro, give me this, tell this shit bag, let's rebook this, you know, tell Sean or whatever, let's rebook this in a couple weeks, and I'll whoop his ass like in the States or wherever else they want me to. I don't even care, I'll go wherever. Jason's like, nah, they're not going to book him for a little bit because he missed weight, and they're kind of going to, you know what I mean, they're going to be like, fuck you, missed weight, so you're going to be on the back burner for a bit. So I'm like, okay, cool, well, get me a fight, because I need a fight, right? And this is November 4th that I'm out there talking to him. So I'm like, I need a fight still, so get me a fucking fight. Anyway, I don't get a fight. I get told I get a fight, but I never get a contract, and then I get told that guy fell out, but they have Bonfim now, May 4th. So then I'm like, okay, am I being punished too? Because I said no to that fight? Because if so, then fuck them. You know what I mean? Like, I love the UFC, and they've really helped me a lot and honestly changed my life. But if they're gonna be like, oh, I'm helping you so I can treat you like shit, then they could suck my dick. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck about anybody in that manner. So, or anyone who treats people like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a shitty thing. But I don't want to sound like I'm talking shit, but I kind of got the shit on the stick on this as well, right? For making the better decision, right? To not let this asshole fucking get away with shit he shouldn't have done. And so that happened, and then now I'm like, fuck, okay, whatever. Now I have this fight, and I'm booked with him again, and fuck it, let's just go out there this time. And I talked to my manager, Jason, too, and I'm like, bro, if he doesn't make weight this time, I'm kicking his ass in the fucking hotel, and they could cut me. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Fuck the UFC at that point. I'm walking away from them, right? And so that's kind of like what I told him about this fight. I'm like, if he doesn't fucking make weight, that's what's going to happen. I'm kicking his ass in that hotel, and his friends ain't going to stop me because I'm going to fuck them up, too. I'm going to start stabbing people. I'm gonna, like, you might not see me again, bro. Like, I'm going to fuck people up. And so he's like, yeah, I told Sean that too. And I'm like, okay, a lot of good that did because it didn't get me paid last time. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? So anyway, long story short, here we are again. Hopefully this fucking bum makes weight.
Yeah, hopefully it does, man. And knowing the details of what happened in the last couple of months, it is very odd that they book you with a guy that missed weight and should be punished. And they're giving you the same fight. I don't understand it, man. And they're making you go back to Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah, which I don't mind. I don't mind going out to the motherland and kicking his ass, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you got to go to his land and take the king's shit, so I don't mind that. I'm just more mad that I felt like morally I was in the right? Morally, ethically, however you want to put it, I was in the right in that situation, but I felt like I was getting shit on just like he was because of his fucking mistake, you know what I mean? And I wasn't really happy with that. But I have a really good relationship with him, and you know what I mean? My manager was actually talking to Dana. Dana was super pissed. He's talking about like trying to cut me and whatnot. So I'm like, he's like, what do you want me to do? Talk shit? And I'm like, yeah, talk shit. Like, you know what I mean? If, I don't know. This is like kind of part of my downfall too, but I'm the kind of person that like loyalty and honesty is like super important to me. And this is how I see it. If someone's honest to my face and loyal to me when I'm not in the room, that is invaluable to me. Right. And so I told Jason, I'm like, let's say Dana did cut me because you were talking shit to him. I wouldn't be mad at you. I'd be mad at Dana. I would trash them. I'd be like, fuck these people, right? And walk away from them. Yeah, I'd be upset that I got cut, but my anger wouldn't be towards you because you had my back. So like, regardless of the situation, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. But that was kind of like the whole situation with that last time, man. And it was just kind of like, it was a shit show, man. And I got shit on because this guy didn't make weight. And I've just been kind of dealing with it, right? Like and everyone's kind of just like, oh, well, whatever. You get another one. You get another one. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, you don't understand that like fucked my life up a little bit. And no one cares. But whatever. On May 4th, I'm going to light this pussy up and smoke him like I do my bong loads.
That's a good analogy right there. But yeah, man, there's not really much to talk about the fight because we did an interview ahead of the last one and we talked about.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, we talked about all this stuff, and but you know, since then I know you've been grinding and stuff. You know what I mean? I know that fire has always been with you, but it seems like this time around it's just like that pissed off anger on the top of the fire is just like gasoline.
Yeah, man. Like. And here's the thing. People really underestimate me, man. Like, yeah, I'm 41 years old, but any of those people that honestly, it's just like it's just all the casuals, honestly. But the people that really count me out, and it's kind of funny to me because if you look at what I've accomplished and what I've done, like any striker I've ever gone against, I've made them look silly in there, right? And I've gone with really good strikers in there, right? And he's no different. I wouldn't even say he's a high level striker. Like he's got power, but he's not like very intelligent, right? Like when I watch him, he's very basic. He's easy to figure out for me, right? And my intelligence when I'm in there is going to be really frustrating for him, I know, especially when I crack him. But man, I think it's funny that people just count me out so often because the only people I've lost to were like literally like world-class collegiate wrestlers, you know what I mean? And so it's like, do you really think this guy's going to beat me? Like, who the fuck, how fucking retarded are you? You think this guy's going to beat me? He's coming off the couch. Like, not to talk shit about anyone, but he only knocked out Terrence McKinney, right? And like, I don't want to talk shit about Terrence because I like him. He's a fucking cool dude, but like, it's Terrence McKinney. He's you know what I mean? Like, he's a lower level guy. He's got okay striking, but he's not like a mid to high level fighter, right? He's a very mid to low level fighter in the aspect of in the UFC anyway, right? Like that's just the truth of it. And not to say that I'm a higher level athlete, but I'm at the very least when I'm on the shittiest day, I'm better than the middle range guys to the upper middle range guys, right? Like even on my worst days, I smoke those dudes, no problem. So like, I don't know. I just think it's really funny how everyone counts me out and they think because of my age that, you know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck they think. They think I'm origami like them or something. I don't know, man, these pussies. But if you go in the gym and you see me in the gym, like I make the kids who are, you know, in their early 20s, mid 20s, I wear them out. Like when I'm in the gym, people laugh because they call me old man, but they're not able to do what I'm able to do, right? Like all the younger guys tease me and they call me old man and shit, and then all I gotta say is, you wish you could fucking do what I could do at my age, motherfucker. Because when you're at my age, you're gonna be some crippled ass piece of shit probably, or you know what I mean? Wishing you had half my fucking skills still, shit. So I just think it's funny that people really count me out. I wish I could bet on myself too, because I'd make a lot more money beating this shit out of this kid.
Talking about like taking a fight, and you know, Bonfim, his contract is the Contender Series contract, but if you're fighting somebody else, you know what I mean, this is where a fighter pay, because this week it's become like a topic, right, with Max Holloway saying like, yo, they're advertising this UFC 300 card, I'm not even the main event, but they're advertising it like we are the main event. And he's like, I think we need to talk to the UFC. Also, fight bonuses have become a topic. Do you remember when fight bonuses were more than 50K?
No, I remember when they were actually less.
Oh, okay. Like, what was your first?
I feel like they were 25K before.
Oh, okay.
Because before, I remember when they first came around, it was knockout, sub, and fight of the night, I want to say.
Yeah.
They didn't do performance. It was knockout, sub, and fight. Those are the only 3 bonuses they gave, and I'm pretty sure they were lower than 50. Mm. And I think they got rid of it and they started doing knockout, performance, and they kind of strayed away from the subs, the sub bonuses, and I think that's when they bumped up to 50.
Okay.
But I feel like, I don't know, I could be wrong, honestly. I could be wrong, but I feel like they were less before, when they had like the sub, when they actually had like sub, knockout, and fight of the night bonus, whatever, when they first started doing those. But
well, it should be way more. I think it should be way more than what it is right now. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like entry level should be like at least 20K, 25K contracts, 25, 25, 20, 20. You know what I mean? The UFC really wouldn't lose money doing that either, and you know what I mean. But here's the other thing too. We're 1099 contractors for the UFC, so although the UFC, when you come in, the UFC is going to say, "Hey, here's your contract. Fucking take it or leave it," right, pissant? After you fight a couple times and you prove yourself, and you know what I mean, I think that's what people don't realize, is your fighting is going to be where you really get your money. So like, look at the guys who get bumped up, right? It's either the guys who are very in the public's eye, right? Like what's that fucking dude's name with the peasant haircut? Patty. So like Patty, you know what I mean? Like, he came in with his dog shit contract, and let's be honest, he's not really he's not really that good of a fighter, right? Like, he beat Tony somehow. I don't know. Like, I mean, Tony's pretty washed up now, but you know what I mean? I just don't think he's like that kind of fighter. But he was complaining about fighter pay when he came in, and then like, I even tweeted to him like quit your fucking bitching, bro. That's your first contract. Do some fights, prove you're actually a decent fighter, and then they'll give you more money, right? And look what he did. He fought some fights, and now he's getting paid a lot more, right? He's probably getting paid more than me now, which, you know, I mean, it is what it is. But like, I think a lot of that depends on the fighter, right? And I think the fighters, especially the younger fighters, don't really feel like they have a lot of say when they're renegotiating their contracts. And they kind of do, you know what I mean? Because like, let's be honest. Let's say I'm the UFC and you're a fighter, John, and you're like, hey, I knocked out 3 dudes. My contract's 10-10. What are you going to give me? I'm like, oh, how about 15-15? And then what are you going to say? Because you're a new guy. Fuck, I'll take it. That's 5K. That's 10K extra, right? So these kids see that and they're like, oh yeah, not thinking in hindsight, like, damn, then that's 3 more fights at least that I have to fight at that. Instead of saying, well, 10 sounds good, but let's double my contract because I knocked out 3 guys. I'm excited. You know what I mean? Instead of really knowing their self-worth of how they fight, they kind of just take what they're given. So I think a lot of it has to do with that too. And let's be real, like, you can't really have enough money in Joe Biden's economy because this guy's fucking up our country fast.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that, man. Yeah, it's
you're in Thailand right now.
Yeah.
Money goes a long way there.
yeah, much longer.
That's a pretty nice little room you got there too. Looking.
Yeah, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? It's not that bad. Yeah, you know, I completely agree with you. Like, people, like, I think a lot of the fighters are not fighting for the bigger contracts. Like, they should be wanting more. You know what I mean? Like, the initial contract, I can understand that. And I do agree with you. It should be 25 or 20 when you enter the UFC, because it's the UFC. It's the pinnacle. Really, it's the pinnacle. You're the NFL.
It's the major leagues.
Yeah,
it's the major leagues. Exactly. And they're monopoly like a motherfucker. So it's not like anyone's going to take them out, right? Like, how insecure are they that they feel like they can't even give people a little more money like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm not the UFC and I don't deal with their finances, so who knows? They could have a gambling problem or a cocaine and hooker problem. You never know.
A lot
could
of
have a
people
John
do.
Jones problem. You know,
A lot of
they
people
could have a John Jones problem.
How wild is that shit, right? Like him
Dude.
threatening. Oh my god, it's not
I don't
that
know,
bad, right? When
I
you
saw
deal
a
with it.
video. I don't know. I saw a video of him walking out with that person that drug tested him, so I'm not really sure what to believe. But
Yeah.
I don't know. John Jones is kind of like a firecracker, right? Where if you say something wrong to him, he's like, "My shit doesn't stink," and he'll fucking be a total asshole, right? So he's definitely that kind of piece of shit person. But I don't know, man. I seen the video of him like high-fiving the person and shaking and hugging him on the way out. So who knows? That could have been another person either, but I don't know. Who really knows? I'm not the kind of person who's going to make assumptions off shit that I don't know for sure if I don't see anything, you know what I mean? But if I start to see things or feel things, or if I get my hands on some little bits of information that make me feel a certain way, then I'm very good at reading situations. I'm a very intelligent person, so I'd know.
Yeah, man. Like you said, you know, we don't know the full story, but we know little bits and pieces, and half the stuff that we hear is probably not even the truth. So we kind of have to give him the benefit of the doubt somewhat.
And then it's probably like the MMA junkie shitheads who are like, John Jones is attacking the fucking guy, and just to get some clicks, you know what I mean? Because that's just how those guys are.
Well, I think that's a lot of MMA. Well, not MMA media, I guess MMA websites. Let's say.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They're all clickbaiters. Yeah, they want those clicks. It's
of
crazy.
course. Of course it is. It's the clickbait wars.
It's the name of the game, but shit, if you're gonna have clickbait, at least like be good clickbait. I don't know. I feel like all the clickbait's just dog shit. Like none of them at least have good clickbait.
All right, Vince. One last question, man. I just saw this interview with Demetrius Johnson, right? And this is his quote from his mouth: "MMA is the easiest sport to become a world champion in." What do you think of that?
I would say it's easier than other team sports because you don't have to. And this is the reason: if someone on your team's having a bad day or fucks up, that person could ruin it for everybody. Where if you're on, like, you could also ruin it for yourself too, right? Like you totally can. But if you're very diligent and you know what I mean, you stick to your guns, right? You're not like a. You know what I mean? You're the kind of person who is very on top of their shit, right? Like to be a champion in a sport anywhere else, you have to be a champion in life, right? So if you're not that kind of person, you have the mentality like I'm a champion in life, I'm on top of my shit, right? I'm not like, I mean, I don't even know an example like I could give you, but like, you know what I mean? As long as you're a champion in life, I see no reason why people can't become a champion in the sport of MMA a lot easier than in other team sports. So I do agree with that. But also at the same time, it's pretty hard, right? Like, it's not like you could just train and you'll be like the best fighter in the world. Like 1% of the population, 1% of the population becomes fighters, and 1% of that becomes fighters in the UFC, and then less than 1% of that becomes champion, right? So when you actually think about the statistics of that and then the likelihood of it, it's pretty fucking low. Yeah. But it is a little higher than team sports because everything is in your control. Yeah.
It is,
especially for some guys, like you can pick and choose your fights sometimes, right? Like there's guys who pick and chose their fights to the top, right? Like for instance, that guy that's getting a title shot against Pantoja. What the fuck? Who is that guy? Who is it? I've never seen that guy, heard that guy. Who the fuck is that guy? Did they just pull him out of a Walmart? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of shit that I'm talking about, where it's like, fuck, okay. They're not going to give it to Royval because he fought him a couple times and lost, and they're not. Moreno doesn't want to fight him, so it's like, I guess, what do? You know what I mean? Someone's got to get fed to the line.
Someone's got to get that spot. You know what I mean? Someone's going to step up. Eat. For sure. Hey, May 4th, UFC 301. You're back in Brazil, this time in Rio. Vince, always good catching up with you, man. You know.
Thank you, John.
I always love speaking with you because I could ask you anything, and I'll get the straight talk. That's what I like.
Yeah, I don't beat around the bush or bullshit. If someone wants to know the truth from me, I'll tell them. That's kind of why I don't have a lot of friends, though. People can't handle that shit. Everyone wants to be pampered and sugar-coated.